Record. Okay, I believe the recording would have started already. Sorry that you're going to miss that initial part on the recording, but there's a lot to gain. So let's continue. So we talked about software development. We've talked about programming languages. We are talking about software actually. So why did I put this web app development in red? It is because that is what we are going to be learning in this particular cohort. We cannot combine any two of these together. We have to choose one. So we're going to start with web app development, and that's what we're going to be learning. So web application development. Now, there are three parts to a web application development. We have the front-end development. Front-end development is everything you see on a website, like buttons, links, animations, and so on and so forth. Those were actually created by a front-end developer. So what it means is you can choose to be a front-end developer. So even though you've decided to be a web developer, you can actually choose a single part of web development, which is front-end development. You don't have to be any other thing than a front-end. What you do is that you would be responsible for building how a website looks. So a typical example, I'm going to show you a website quickly. Can you all see this website that I just opened? It's Nespresso. It's a coffee website. Okay. So if you can see this website, there's a lot of things going on this website. There's a lot of interactions. There's a lot of graphic works and all that. This is the job of a website, of a front-end developer. Look at this coffee maker moving from top to bottom. Look at a lot of things happening. When you click, a lot of things drop down. You see a lot of drop downs showing different images. How those images were being placed. What do you want to happen when you have a click, and all this. Essentially, the graphic works, placement of buttons and all that is the job of a front-end developer. So in front-end web application development, what you'll be responsible for doing it is to decide or to place those information on the website, like text, images, buttons, and all that. Now, it is the front-end developer's job to take the vision and design concepts from the client and implement it through code. So look at it from the perspective of building a house. An architect draws a design. Once the design is finalized and the owner has agreed or the client has agreed on the design, he gives it to a structural engineer. That's not the builder. It's just the structural engineer who is going to now be responsible for making sure the exact thing that the architect has drawn or has designed has been framed structurally and nothing has changed. Well, it is still part of the builder's job to make sure the building is built exactly the way it is being designed by the architect. That is exactly the same job that a front-end developer does. So a front-end developer takes a design from a UI UX designer, which is going to be like an architect in terms of structure, building. But in software, is a UI UX designer who does this design, how the website should look, and then gives it to a front-end developer to build. So the job of this front-end developer is to use code to now build that web app to look exactly the way the design looks. So that's part of software development that anybody can dabble into. We also have back-end development. So there's front-end and there is back-end. Back-end is everything on a website that you don't ever see. You can never see them. But just know that whenever you interact with the website, whatever you think you're doing, you're signing up, you're logging in, you're creating something, you're buying something on Amazon, there is a lot of work going on beyond what you see on that web page. They happen in the back end. Some people are responsible to make sure those things happen. So everything that happens on the server, we call them either backend or server side. Everything that happens there is being done by a back-end developer. So they ensure that the website performs correctly, focusing on databases, back-end logics, application programming interface, in other words, APIs, architecture, and servers. Yes, we have architecture in software development as well, not just in building. Architecture the meaning of architecture in software is exactly the same thing that it means in building, except with some little differences. So everything that has to do with architecture or architecting is a web application, configuring servers, writing APIs, that is application programming interface. You get to know what those ones means later. And provisioning databases is the work of a back-end developer. So you can choose to be a back-end developer and not have anything to do with the front end. It is very possible too. So we have back-end developers. As a matter of fact, I think statistics says that back-end developers earn more than a front-end developer, but I don't think so. I think it depends on which company you work for, your years of experience, and every other thing that comes with it. So there are two different disciplines on their own, still under software development. So as we progress in this learning, you guys will get to know more about front-end, about back-end, and see if you choose to go with one or the other. But then we have what is called a full stack development. So I am a full stack developer. What it means is that I can design both front end and back end. I can work either in both or in a team that works on both sides. So that's what we call full stack developer. A full stack developer or full stack development is the entire depth of a computer applications, which means you will be doing everything. You will be jack of all trades in both front end and back end. Of course, if you choose to go as a full stack developer, you cannot be best in both sides. No. What it means is that no matter how good you are as a full stack developer, you cannot know more than a front-end developer when it comes to front-end development. The same way, you can never know more than a back-end developer who is majored on back-end development. But then you would know as much as you need to perform anywhere and to do your job. So full stack development is just the entire depth of a computer system application. And what they do, or what full stack developers do, is to straddle two separate web development domains, the front end and the back end. Now, what are we going to be learning in this course? Let's narrow it down now. What are we going to be learning? We are going to be learning project-based full stack development, which means I am going to be teaching you guys here the front end development, the back end development, and you can decide if you want to choose one or you prefer one over the other. But then, should there be any job that comes up, if you intend to take this further, you would be able to get a job in either way, whether there's a front end opening, a back end opening, or a full stack opening, you will be able to do both. Of course, you would agree with me that a full stack developer will always be highest sorted after compared to if you decide to go with either of those two. So we are going to be learning front-end development, back-end development, and one more thing, we're going to be learning responsive web design. What is a responsive web design? So we are saying we're going to be building web applications. Of course, yes. But some of you will be thinking, okay, so does it mean that any application we build will not be able to work on mobile? It will work on mobile platforms. The only thing is you have to access them through the mobile browser. And when you access them through mobile browser, there is something called responsiveness of a website. A website that you built for, a project that you built for the web was going to look like this. For example, in this Nespresso application, you see how everything is being laid out. Now, if I shrink this page to fake a mobile application, you will see how things start rearranging themselves. You can see those search buttons, the images, they start coming together. Something opened up just now that looks like a carousel. You can see it now starts looking like a mobile phone. Now, this is not just happening by magic. This is responsive web design. So when you're designing a website for the web, you are going to be including some details to make it responsive, which means when either the application is open on a computer, on an iPad, on a tab, or on a phone, the user should still be able to use that application perfectly. That is what we call responsiveness. So in this course, we're going to be learning responsiveness or responsive web design. Okay, let us continue. So you now know what we're going to be learning. Now, what are we going to be building? I said we're going to be doing project-based full stack web development. We're going to be building a lot of projects. Some that come to mind right now that I included in this course, a lot of them might still come, is that we're going to be building a product website, like an Amazon website, where you can go there, order a product, make payment, and then everything close out. Is that not going to be interesting? Yeah, that's going to be interesting. Let's build an Amazon clone. We'll be building games and musical apps for game lovers in the room. You're going to learn how to build some simple games, and then you can take it further if you want to. There are web games too, of course, you know that. We're going to be building to-do list application, of course, like Jamila that cooks food. If you want to do to-do list for yourself, you can actually build your own to-do list without subscribing to any application, and you use it yourself. We are going to build one that is kind of a bit bigger, if time permits us. It's called Project Manager app, and there's a reason why I want everybody to build these projects. The reason is because there's something called CRUD in software development. CRUD means C-R-U-D. C means create, R means read, U means update, and D means delete. What it means is that for everything you think you're doing in software development, they all circle around these 4 letters, C-R-U-D. So this is going to be one application that covers every of those 4 letters. And that's why I want it. So which means a user will be able to create something. You are going to write code that will make a user to be able to create something, that will make a user to be able to update that thing. The user will be able to read that thing. Read means to retrieve. And then D stands for delete. A user will be able to delete that thing. What it means is that you're going to be working with databases, back end, front end. A lot of things will come together in this one project. God spare our lives, we will get there. So these are the 4 projects that comes to mind. As of now, if there's any reason to add more, we will. And if there's not, by the time you cover these 4, you would be proud of yourself. Now, enough of this talk for now. Let's calm down. Yes.
I've raised hand now.
I'm sorry. Okay, let me bring this thing to focus. Okay. Yeah,
Please,
any question?
can you go? What was the RUD means again? I got the
Okay.
you have to create the update and then delete. Was R part of the creating?
Yes. So R is read. Sorry, my English is a Bomosho one. So pardon me if you are not hearing what I'm saying clearly. I will repeat myself. R is read. The C is create.
Okay.
R is read. U is update. And the D is delete. So we're going to be building that will be able to cover those 4 aspects. If you're able to do those things on a website, you are ready to take your first job as a software developer. It's going to be a rough road, but we'll get there. I'm not going to lie to you that this is going to be smooth and nice. No, but then we'll get there. Trust me. Okay, so I have talked for, I think, almost how many minutes? 20 minutes. Let's do some downloads of some applications that we're going to be needing. For the purpose of this class, I use a Mac, but I have a Windows computer. So for the sake of those that will be on Windows, I would be able to show you how things are done if that is needed. If not, then I believe a lot of you can do it yourself. Now, my assumption in this class is that everybody here everybody here knows their way around a computer. What it means is that you can open a computer, you can turn on a computer, you can open a folder, you can create a folder, you can delete a folder, you can create a file and all that. Everybody in this class should know that. That is the basic minimum. So with that assumption, I would want everybody to go into their browsers, and I'm going to demonstrate on a Mac. If you're on a window and you have issues, I would come back to that. So everybody would go into their browsers. For the purpose of this course, again, I'm sorry if I didn't say this before, we will be using Google Chrome. No more, no less. We're not going to be using Microsoft Edge. Don't use it. And I'll tell you why you're not going to use any other browser. Mozilla is pretty fair, but don't use Mozilla for some reasons. I want everybody to use Google Chrome. So if you don't have a Google Chrome, can I see a hand up so that we know if we need 1 minute or 2 to help someone in installing a Google Chrome? Is there anyone in this class who don't have a Google Chrome? Everybody has Google Chrome. Everybody has Google Chrome. Okay. There are some, I'm sorry, there are some people I have not seen any activity from them. Are they in this class? Let's check. Alamin, I've heard from you. Ify, are you here? Can you hear us?
Hi, I'm here.
Okay, great. Thank you. Tolu Toba, can you hear me? Are you here? Tolu Toba. Okay, thank you. Wolf of Aberdeen, can you hear me? Are you here?
I'm here. I can hear you, sir.
Is everything okay?
Everything is all right.
Perfect. Thank you. So,
Yes.
let's quickly, I assume that everybody has Google Chrome. So let's go on to our
Didn't
Google
call the
Chrome.
rest of us now.
I've seen you, I've heard from you. Don't worry. Kilo de Baba. Okay, we're going to go into our Google Chrome. And in Google Chrome, we would go to Google search as usual. So go to your Google search. I know some people in this class already have VS Code installed. Maybe I forgot to mention that we once started this training with some of my friends, but for some reasons from me, we had to pause. And when Abiodun brought this up again, I felt, okay, since we already started this before, we can actually merge the two groups and then make it a bigger class and it will be more interesting. Yeah. So some people here would already have Google Chrome, VS Code. But for those who don't have VS Code, we are going to search for VS Code. So search for VS Code. And the first one that comes up is called Visual Studio. This is going to be our integrated development environment. In other words, IDE, integrated development environments. Maybe I should quickly tell you what this means. So this is the platform where we would be writing everything code. That's where we'll be coding for real. The reason why we chose Google Chrome at first is that Google Chrome gives us some more advantage that no other browser would give us. And that is called, Abiodun is messaging, what do you say? Good day, sir. Sorry, guys. I think it's just done from the church. So yeah, it's going to give us what is called a development environment in Google Chrome. We will be able to inspect a lot of things. We'll be able to do a lot of things as well. Sorry, guys. So because of that, that's why we chose to use Google Chrome. You get to understand that better when we get into the meat of it. So you're going to download this VS Code. Now, what this VS Code does for us is it allows us to write our code. It is built with the compiler that I mentioned earlier. There's something called compiler and transpiler, which converts the English you are going to be writing on the system. It converts it into ones and zeros for the computer to understand. So this VS Code is built with that, or is equipped with that. And that's why we choose this among other ones to use. There are other ones that we can use actually, but let's use VS Code because it's very common and popular. So download VS Code on your computer. If you're on Mac, you're going to see something like what I'm seeing here. You will click on Download Mac Universal. When you download it, you will see a file. You get to select here, if you're downloading, you see a file that gets downloaded and you double click on that file. I don't want to do it again because I already have VS Code on mine, but just for the sake of trying it out, I am going. So when you are downloading, please download the stable one. There is stable, there is insiders. Don't go for the insiders. Download the stable version. So when you click download, it takes you here and then you see download on top, or it starts download immediately. I'm watching for Biodun, sorry. So yeah. You come here so that I can see everything. Asking for meeting ID. Biodun.
I don't know if
Uh,
it might be downloading. Sorry.
yeah, it should be downloading.
You know my own predicament of you. I have to look for
Sorry,
where it's happening.
sorry, Galatas.
Yes,
I don't, I don't know. It's not showing exactly the same way it is on your screen, and I guess it's going to download as a zip file, right?
it's not going to download as a zip file. It's going to download as a different type of file
I'm doing the wrong
that
thing.
is acceptable to MacBook.
APK.
So I will show you mine quickly. Where is it? I just opened it. Sorry, Julie, oh yeah, it's going to download as a zip file. Sorry, I think they changed things here. It's going to come as zip file, probably. So when it comes as a zip file for you on Mac, you double click on it. And then it will open the VS Code itself. And you see Visual Studio Code. Then you can just move that on Mac. What I'm saying right now is only applicable to people on MacBook. So if you're on MacBook, once you have that file that shows VS Code, Visual Studio Code, you have to move this into your application folder. So if you can see my screen, which I believe, you would see applications. You can actually drag that download or downloaded file. Sorry, the downloaded file. You can drag it into applications here. Once you do that, you have your VS Code installed. That is for Mac users. Now, for the Windows users, if you are on Mac and you have any issues, you can call me back. For the Windows users, do you guys want me to demonstrate that for you? Let me
Yes,
know if
please.
you want me. Sorry?
Yes, please.
Okay. Just a second. I would put up my Windows and share screen to show that as well in a minute. So I believe the Mac users are on right now trying to download and install. Let us know if you have any issues. Okay. Okay. Can you all still hear me?
Yeah. Can you hear me too?
Yeah. I can hear you.
Yes, sir.
So, there are some options on the interface. So, there are options for the ones for Microsoft. There are ones that do have Microsoft.
Okay. Don't worry. I'm gonna just share my screen and go through it. All right. Okay, can everybody still hear me?
Yeah.
Okay, so if you're on Windows, you go to your Google Chrome as usual, and you would go to download VS Code. Now, when you get here, this is what you should be seeing. You would see Windows, you would see Mac, and you will see Linux. So you go to the Windows download. Click on Windows download. It should start downloading immediately. So you don't need the zip file. Just look at the second file that shows up here, that shows VS Code user setup.exe. Please, can you share the meeting ID password? Okay, just hold on. Biodun is having issues on joining. Meeting ID password. Yeah. All right. So once you click on that, you would have seen the file downloaded on the top left corner of your browser. I mean, bottom left corner of your browser, and you can click on that file. So when you do that, it will start to install. So you see something come up like this, you accept, just like you are installing regular softwares on your computer. You go next. You can just continue clicking next until it starts to create. You can create a desktop icon if you're on Windows. You don't have to do that on Mac. So you can click on next, add open with code action, blah, 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 open with code action to Windows Explorer. You don't need all that. If you need them, you can do that later. So then you get to install, you can click on install. So it starts to install. Now, depending on your internet, depending on your computer processing power, this time would vary. But what is important is to see it start installing. Are we there, my fellow Windows users?
Yes, we are.
Thank you.
Yeah.
Great. Great. Mac users, any issues? Are you done installing? Do you have VS Code now?
Still downloading.
Still downloading. Okay. Yeah, that will actually depend on network as well. So if your network is slow, it would slow to download. But then what is important is to start downloading. Abiodun, you are welcome. We started while people are installing. We are already 12:57. The time is running pretty fast. So we've had some introductions. We've talked about some basic concepts. Is it raining in Edry?
No, it's not raining. Actually, somebody is frying something.
Okay.
It's not
It
raining.
sounds like rainfall.
Hmm?
Okay.
Sorry, Madam is
So-
frying something. Apologies.
Oh.
She said, "Why am I saying somebody? Why didn't I say Madam is frying something?"
Abiodun,
course.
wherever you are facing, you need to be back in the place. We can see you like a ghost.
I know that I'm dark here. Let me go and check.
So Abiodun, while you're here, I mean, while you were not here or before you came, we talked about some basic concepts in software development. We talked about programming languages. We talked about programming itself. We talked about the types of programming languages. I mean,
Well,
types of software development. Yes,
Your voice is reducing.
it's reducing. Okay, if it's okay for me to stop this sharing on Windows so I can go back to Mac. Is that okay, guys? Windows users, are we good?
It's upstairs.
Yeah, we're good. We've downloaded.
Thank you. So click on finish and then you can open it. It's actually supposed to open by itself anyway. You can close it.
No,
Once
it's already
open.
open.
Yeah, so you can close it once it opens, then we open it again. Just close it first, and then we're going to open it again. So that is the install. That is all about installing the software itself. Now, I'm going to leave here and then go back to MacBook. Thank you, people. Can you all still hear me? Thank
Yeah,
you.
sure.
Okay, so
Yes,
Abiodun,
fine.
I can meet with you one-on-one after the class. I don't want to go back because we
Thank
are
you.
actually
Thank
running
you
out
so
of
much.
time on
Thank you
what
so
we've
much.
done, and then we'll talk about how you can install your software as well. So we'll continue from here. So right now we've installed VS Code. The next thing we're going to be doing before we go on break is we are going to be putting some plugins into that VS Code. Those plugins are going to help us as we continue to write code. So you are going to, I believe everybody would have their VS Code closed right now. So you're going to all open your VS Code. Now for Mac users, what you need to do is to go into your Launchpad. There's something called Launchpad on MacBook. It looks like different colors like that. Windows, you open that. Then you go look for VS Code icon here. Click on it, and your VS Code would open. For Windows users, you go on your desktop, look for that icon. The VS
Are
Code
you sharing
open.
anything? Sorry, we are not seeing anything.
Oh my goodness. And okay, don't worry, I'm getting used to this thing. Okay, can you see my screen now?
Yes.
Yeah, we can see.
Okay, great. Sorry about that. I said for Mac
Yep.
users, if you're on Mac, you go, there's something called Launchpad at the bottom of your pane, your icon panes. You see that looks like windows of several colors. You click on that, then you look for VS Code, click on VS Code, and your VS Code would come on. That's for people on Mac. If you're on Windows, you go to your desktop. If you just installed, you go to your desktop, you see the VS Code icon, you click open that VS Code icon. Let me see a show of thumbs up when you all have your VS Code open. I have mine open and I'm going to bring it to focus. So this is my own VS Code, and this is the same way yours would look like. Whether you're on Windows or you're on Mac, it should look close to this, very close to this. So let me know when you have it open. You may not have a lot of this information here. This is because the work I'm working on VS Code, that's why it shows recent, so you don't have to look at that. As much as you have it open, you have open folder and all this, you should be good. So let me know when you have it open. In 5 seconds. 1, 2, 3, 4, 5. So I believe everybody have it open except Abiodun, who has not installed VS Code. So we're going to start with installing this thing called Prettier. Prettier, as the name implies, prettier, something that makes something look more pretty. Okay, so we're going to go here. I'm going to blow this up so that you guys can see where I'm clicking on this VS Code. So there's something that looks like this. It's called extensions on your VS Code. On the far left, there's a vertical panel that you can see like this one. There's something called extension. If you can find that extension, I'll make it bigger. Oh, it closes that. So I have to make it smaller. It looks like this. Let me see how it looks on Windows. I think it's the same, right? Is it not? So if you have it, if you can see that, yeah, it looks the same, both platforms. So you click on that. When you click on it, there's a search bar up here. In that search bar, you guys would have to type in Prettier, Prettier. It is called Prettier. There are lots of them. You will see Prettier Code Formatter. You will see Prettier ESLint and all that and all that and all that. The one we are going to install is the one called Prettier Code Formatter by Prettier, and it has about 32,089,107 downloaders or users right now. That's the one you are going to download. So it is called Prettier Code Formatter. And once you click on that, you would see 2 buttons here, or one, either way, you would see download or install, something like that, install. So you are all going to install that. Prettier. Once you search for it, actually, you will see an install button just below it. So you need to click on that install. And what happens here is that, yes. Sorry? Alamin, I didn't hear you.
Oh, can you hear me now?
Yes. What did you say?
Okay. Yeah, can you please just come again with the explanation for this Prettier formatter that you're doing?
Of
Now
course.
get it.
Of course.
Thank you.
So once you open your VS Code, so let's start again. I am going to open my VS Code. Once you open your VS Code, on the far left, there's a vertical pane on that VS Code, and there is something that looks like a window with one part of it flying. It is called extension. If you hover on it, if you hover your mouse on it, you will see extensions. So when you click on extensions, it brings up a search bar. In that search bar, you are going to type Prettier. Prettier is Prettier. When you search, you will see a lot of Prettier. But the one we are going to be installing is called the Prettier code formatter from Prettier, and it has about 32 million downloads. That is the one you are going to install. So once you search for it, you will see something that looks like install, something like this. Click on it, and it will install Prettier into your VS Code. Now, what Prettier does for us is a lot. It helps us to format our code to a very readable format. It helps us to include some missing things while we code. There are sometimes we forget to put a comma and all that. It helps us to fix those ones. And it helps us with code debugging. So we are going to be using that Prettier in our code. So install that. And hopefully everybody is able to get that right. I'm sorry, I'm missing these messages. I'll just quickly go through the messages. Yes, Babajide, you are very correct. You might need 2 monitors. I don't want to say that at the beginning. I don't want people to start thinking, I have to go and buy a monitor. But the truth about this whole thing is you might need 2 monitors. When we start to code, there will be a time when I wanted to do things as I go. On few occasions. In those cases, you cannot be minimizing and maximizing screens. You may need a second screen to watch me and then to try it out. So yeah. Oh yeah, pretty much needed, yeah. Okay, Wolf of Aberdeen, you need meeting passcode. Really? Are you bringing in an unregistered member into this meeting? What's going on? Wolf, tell us.
I have 2 systems, so I need to switch to my iPad so I can listen to it and I can practicalize everything on my laptop. I'll be using my phone.
I see. Do you still need that now?
Yes, sir.
Okay, I am going to send it to you on Slack.
Okay.
Just make sure not to bring an unregistered member into the group. Okay. Okay.
Yeah.
So, yeah.
Sorry, sir. One of our junior brother will still join us. So he's there with you in Canada. So just asking permission down, sir.
I'm very sorry. Once we're done with today's class.
You said 15 now. You said 15.
Well, we started the class already. Once we are done today's class, we will not accept a new person. It's going to stress me out because I have to go back and repeat a lot of things. I know why I'm saying that. Today's class is going to be a lot of introduction to stuffs, which are very important to carry on with the class. The truth is, I am willing to start another class in parallel. I already have people talking to me about Saturdays. So if we are able to solidify Saturday classes, I will let you know. The person can join the Saturday class. So we'll have 2 classes running in parallel. That I can assure you of. But after today, nobody joined this cohort, unfortunately.
Sir, does it mean that we can be in the 2 class?
No.
Okay,
No,
sir.
you cannot. You can decide to drop from one. If that gets started, you can decide to drop from this and go into that. But whatever the information is, we are yet to solidify it. I will let you guys know. Okay, Wolf of Aberdeen. Yes, that's nice. I see that. Yes. I need meeting person.
That would be
Sorry?
Yeah, I hope we can always come back and revisit it and come back to the recording anytime.
Okay. Lee Kuan Yew. I think Lee Kuan Yew is holding your internet. I'm not hearing what to say. It's really cracking. Can you type it?
Can you hear me now?
Can you
Your
just
voice
type
is muffling. It's muffling.
just put it on the message. Just put it on the message now. I will read it.
Okay.
Yeah, it's better that way.
part is the liquid
And
part.
the person and go through the recording.
Mr. Julius Akibode, can you mute yourself when you are talking to your people?
Yeah,
Okay.
I'm talking to you.
Sorry,
What
I
that
thought you were
guy
talking
said.
at home.
What that guy said was that the person wants to be that can he go to the recording, even though
Will I say I need to pack some dirty cover for my ear? It's hard to actually hear even you, Julius.
It's
I'm
not
not
just
very
you. I can't really hear him either.
Yeah, it's really
Okay.
muffling.
So Galatas, what Bob was saying is that
Thank
he
you.
hopes the recording would probably, be available so that if he wants to relearn or if you want to relearn something, we can probably do after the
Sure. The recording will be available strictly to members because it's going to be passworded. There's a reason why I'm doing this, not because we are trying to hoard information. The recording might not capture everything we talk about in class. If you give that to a third party, somebody who has never been in this class, and there are some things missing, then they start to say some bullshit things. There will be a lot of conflicts and all that. I want to keep everything within the class. But yeah, the recording will be available on the Google Drive. You all have access to that. So there's a folder in that Google Drive called recordings. As soon as we are done with classes, I will be uploading those recordings into the Google Drive. So you can always go back there and check it out to kind of learn what you missed or whatever. I hope there will be a way we can always listen. Yes, I've seen that. I've just responded to that. Thank you, Bob B. Please give me access. Access. Okay, Wolf. I just gave you access. Thank you. Okay, so I would assume that by now we've taken some time, we've given some time to people to install VS Code, to install Prithia. So quickly, we'll rush through the rest of the installation. So we go to live preview. The same way you installed Prithia, you go back into that same pane, click on that extension. This time around, we are going to search for live preview. Live preview. So we'll see there's a lot of live previews that comes up. There is one from Microsoft, and that is the one we are going to install. You know why? Because it works better with VS Code. VS Code is built by Microsoft anyways, in case you guys don't know. Microsoft built VS Code. They actually have two different VS Code. They have VS Code, they have Visual Studio, and they have Visual Studio Code. Visual Studio is an advanced one for some high-level languages like C#. I'm hearing feedback. Yeah, for some high-level languages like C# and all that. Since we are not learning C# and high-level languages, we are using VS Code because we're going to be learning web development. So live preview is better because it's designed is built from the same source and it works better with VS Code. What live preview does is that as you're coding, as you're building your site, whatever we're going to be building, without having to deploy it on the cloud, you will be able to view what you're building in real time. So when you're building, you add a button, you'll be able to see your button. You add a click, you'll be able to, like everything you build, you will be seeing it live. That's why it's called live preview. Now, how does this work under the hood? So just so you know, when you start building, there's going to be a local server. So every computer that you use has an inbuilt server. It is local to you. It's not accessible to any other person. So when you start developing, you will be utilizing those local servers to serve your content into the browser. So see, normally how the real website work, we're going to discuss that later, is different. But because we are in the development environment, we will be able to see whatever you're building in real time through your local server. So if you don't have this, try and install this now. And it's the same way, just click on install and it should install. After that, if you're done with that, there is VS Code icons. This is going to help us to be able to identify.
Sorry, Galatas.
Yes, sir.
The one with 1.9 million, right?
Yes, the one with 1.9 million downloaders. Thank you. That's the one. Next, we are going to install VS Code icons.
Sorry that I pulled you back a bit. Do you have different kind of live preview?
There's a lot. I just said it. So if you look at
sorry, I missed that.
Do you have Visual Studio installed already? Visual Studio Code? This
No. I'm just looking at what you're doing. I have not installed.
Oh yeah.
it.
Okay. Live preview. Yeah, there is a lot of them. Different developers will do their own to suit their purpose, but the one we are going to be using is going to be from Microsoft. So that's the one we're
Microsoft.
Yeah, and it's the one that has 1.9 million downloaders. So the next thing we're going to install is VS Code icons. So guys, let's go search for VS Code icons. I hope everybody is up to date. Like, are we leaving anybody behind? I don't want to leave anybody behind on these ones because I would not come back to these things. They are just too fundamental. So we search for VS Code icons, and the one we are going to install is going to be the one from vscodeicons.team. It has about 14 million downloaders, and is the one you're seeing on my screen. That is the one we are going to install. So, well, the number of downloaders may vary if you're on Windows. I'm not too sure. But then, yeah. So this is the one we're going to install. Please click on install and get that installed now. And the last thing we're going to install on VS Code for now will be LiveShare. LiveShare. So if you search for LiveShare, again, we're going to install the one from Microsoft because it works best with VS Code. It has 12.4 million downloaders if you look at this one. And you all should be able to install this one just the same way without issues. What does the LiveShare does for us? LiveShare would help us to collaborate. So what this does is, if you're writing some code on your VS Code in your computer, another person from another location can remote into your computer and write into that same environment, that same VS Code that you are writing on. Somebody else will be able to write into it. It's called LiveShare. It's a very cool application built by Microsoft. We are going to be using this a lot because we'll be doing pair programming in this course. Pair programming means there will be some assessment that I will give to you guys, and two people will be paired together. So you are going to use LiveShare. One person will be the driver, the other person will be the coder. Then you switch again. The other person who was a driver will now be the coder, and the previous coder will now be a driver. Driver means you will be the one that will tell the person, okay, let's do this. Okay, write this. Okay, code this. And the other person will be coding it. Then you switch again. The other person, based on the question I'm going to give you to solve, you will work like that. And to be able to do that perfectly, you would need LiveShare so that you both can code in the same file. Thank you. So for today, as far as download is concerned, this is all we're going to be downloading right now. I believe you guys have installed Google Chrome already. So that is what we have for downloads. We're going to take a quick coffee break. And when we come back from that coffee break, we would start with today's business. I mean, we will continue with today's business. Sorry, not start. We started already. If you have not been able to install those informations, you can do that while we are on break. We will take 5 minutes coffee break, and we'll be back in my time. It is 1:19. I will assume it's 1:20. So we'll be back by 1:25.
5 minutes. They're not going to make the coffee now. When the water go boil.
We've had a lot of breaks, you know that. So let's just take 5 minutes.
Thank you, Jem. Thank you.
Wait, we have had a lot of breaks. Where?
Yes, now we've gisted, we've chatted, we started
That's
late.
break.
We started late. Those are breaks.
5 minutes done. 5 minutes done. They read already. Jem, you want to protest?
5 minutes. This is going to be a military regime. So
let's resume back in 3 4:30.
Oga, turn up your microphone.
Hey, Mr. Shin
Why
Shon
you
Shin.
even agree you do this, what do you call it?
Mr. Shin Shon
this
Shin from
protest.
China.
Come back at whatever 25. Bye, yo.
Yeah, so come back at whatever 5 minutes it is in your place. Come back. I'm gonna grab my coffee as well. But you can leave a message for me if you need my help for anything while we're on text message. Okay, thank you. All right. So go to presentation. Yeah. So you go down. So a lot of us who have different perceptions about the internet. Some people believe that the internet actually is something in the cloud or on space, suspended somehow, and that's where we get all our internet from. Yeah, I've heard a lot of that about people. Maybe me too. At some point, I thought probably something in the cloud suspended somewhere and we're using it. No, that's very, very untrue. As a matter of fact, the internet is not in the cloud. The internet is just a set of connected computers around the world, connected by cable. You don't want to believe that. Everybody, all of us around the world who are on the internet, we are actually connected by cable. Now you start to ask me, how do we get connected by cable? I'll show you. But just know that from today, if you ever thought that the internet is somewhere in the cloud, suspended, providing the service to us, that is not true. It's not correct. We are actually connected through these cables. For example, somebody can be in San Francisco. You see a computer here, and they will be talking to somebody in Lagos, Nigeria. But how they are able to talk together on the internet is through a cable. There must be some cables that run through the person who is in San Francisco and go straight to the person who is in Lagos, Nigeria. So the system in San Francisco sends a request or a response to the person in Lagos or vice versa. So if the person in Lagos is the one requesting for information and the information he's looking for is on the system that is in San Francisco, the system in San Francisco responds to that system through that same cable. Now, somebody will start thinking, if it is cable, how come we are able to get those information very fast? Of course, we are able to get them very fast because that's how it's being processed. We'll go into that as well. Just know from today that everybody that are on the internet, we are connected through the cables. Now, when I said a system will be sending a request, and another system will be responding to that system that is requesting for information. This is how it works. When I say computers, it is not just the same computer that you and I are holding in our hands. So don't get it wrong. Although we have laptops, we have desktops, they are also called computer, but there are some special computers that hold this information. Some of these computers are called the DNS. The DNS is known as, they are actually generally called servers, but there's a particular one called the DNS, domain name service. What this DNS does is it stores some information for us to be able to look up some websites. And those computers, because they are not the regular computer that you and I have in our hands that we play around with, they are called server, and they must be available 24 hours. That's why you have internet all the time. Those computers are in different locations around the world. And like I said, they are also connected through the cables to us in our homes, in our offices, and everywhere we are using them. Now, I said they are called server. The one you have in your hand, the laptops, the phone, the mobile phones, the tabs, the desktops, and everything that you use that fall under the word computer, they are called clients. What the client does is the client is the one that sends a request. So for example, you want to go to Google website. Your browser is called the client. The browser that lives on your computer is called the client. So the client sends a request to the server and the server responds to the client. Now you can look at the entire internet as a very big library of books. I'm using this analogy because on the internet, we have, like I said, we have a lot of computers that holds all the information. So the internet is like a very giant library that holds a lot of books, and then you can request for a particular book that you need. So I am requesting for a book on biology, the other person is requesting for a book on chemistry and all that. That's the same way we do, or that is what we do when we go to a web browser and type in something, and then we get that information. We are requesting for those information from where they live in different remote computers. So now, if let's now say we have a library, like I said, and this library has a shelf that has books. You want to request for a particular book from that library and from a particular shelf. How do you know which book you are requesting for? In other words, you want to go to a website. I'm sorry if somebody is raising hand, I would not be able to see until I minimize this presentation. So just calm down. I will come back and see them. So you want to request for a particular book from a shelf and from a very giant library that has more billions of books. How do you know, or how does the library or the internet library sort out the items and know the exact one you're looking for? Remember, you may not be the only one that is looking for that book at that instance of time. So how does this work under the hood? Now, in this case, we now have plenty of books inside plenty of shelves, and there is a problem. How do we identify this? This is how the internet handles this. Listen, guys. So you go into your browser, you type in google.com, google.com. What happens under the hood? I'll show you. This is what happens. This is your computer. You type in the Google. Remember I said your computer is the client. How do you get that Google web page? When you type in google.com in your computer, this is what happens. Your computer goes through the cable that I talked about. There are some set of cables that have been arranged to connect everybody in the world. Your computer sends the signal. It talks to an ISP. Now, what is an ISP? ISP is called the Internet Service Provider. Now, what that means is if you are in Nigeria and you are using right now, or whenever you're using the internet, use MTN or Globacom or Airtel. Those are your ISPs. They are your internet service providers. So anytime you are trying to go into the website to search for google.com or any other thing, it doesn't go to Google. It goes to your ISP. And when it goes to your ISP, what is happening? The reason why it goes to the ISP is this. The internet does not work in this way, where they can read google.com, google.com. No. The internet works in something called the IP, with something called the IPs. Now, we are human beings. There's no way any human being on earth can cram every IP address of every website. But it's very easy for us to cram alphabets, Google, eBay, Amazon.com, different ones. It's very easy for us because we use English words every day. But if you say, for example, google.com, the IP is 172.198.2.222. How do you remember that? Now look at how many websites you need to search for. So if you want to search for Google, you say 172.2.142.111. And then you want to search for eBay, 211.2. No way. So because of that, these have been converted into alphabetical words for us to be able to understand as human and be able to work with them easily. But the internet would not be able to find google.com. So what happened is your google.com that you type in your computer goes to your internet service provider, in other words, the ISP. Now, the ISP, they don't have that information as well. But what they do is that they are connected to different sets of computers across the world. They are the ones that are connected, actually. So your MTN, if you're in Canada, you have maybe Bell, you have maybe Rogers, you have like that. If you're in the United States, I don't know, they have their own. In UK, you have yours too. So just know that your ISPs, somebody's trying to enter. This one. Mogenese, you are very late, but no problem. We'll carry on. So the ISPs, which is your internet service provider, they are connected to several computers around the world. And as a matter of fact, they are connected to the DNS that I mentioned before, the domain name server. What is the domain name server? So the ISP, your ISPs reach out to the domain name server or domain name system, and they ask them, hey, DNS, one of my people is asking for google.com. Can you please get me the address of google.com? You see, this is a process that always happens, and it must happen each time you go on your browser and type in anything to search for. So your ISP would ask DNS, somebody is looking for google.com. Can you get me the IP of google.com? Now, the DNS is equipped with something like a phone book where the records are kept. So the DNS quickly look through the phone book and then look for which IP matches google.com. Once the DNS gets that, it returns it back to the ISP, and the ISP returns it back to you, who is looking for that information. Now, like I said, there are lots of these DNS servers or DNS systems around the world. So this is why, for everybody that is on the internet, the computer you have in your hand would have an IP address. And that's the only way they are able to communicate with the internet. So when your ISP requests for that information from the DNS grabs that google.com or whatever you have typed in there, look for the IP, and return it back. Of course, there's going to be a loading period where it's looking for the information, and once it finds it, it returns it back to the ISP. Now, when it goes back to the ISP, your service provider, it comes back to your computer. At this point, you have not even seen google.com. What you've only had with you is the Google's IP. Then your computer or your browser would now use that IP to look for google.com website from the from whatever computer that is holding Google information around the world. How that works too is bigger than that, but on the surface, that explains what happens under the hood when you go into your browser to search for any website and you get that information back. Now, like I said, your computer sends a request. Whenever it gets the IP address back, it now looks for the web server that hosts that information for Google. Those servers are called web servers. They are everywhere around the world as well. It could be hosted by Amazon, by Microsoft, by any other server if it is cloud. If it's on-site, it could be somewhere in a building where they keep those big giant machines that look like this one you see here, called server. Your computer will now send that IP address to the internet. Hey guys, I'm looking for this IP address. And then the web server will say, Google, okay, I think I have Google information here. Yeah, take Google information, take it back. And then suddenly, Google just show up on your computer. Now, let's try that out. Let's quickly practicalize this, everybody. Go into your browser, everybody, go into your browser and type in nslookup.io. Let me know when you are there. Where's my internet? nslookup.io. Yes. nslookup.io. I'm going to paste it in the chat in case you don't get it. Where's my control again? God help me with this control. Control is always running away. Okay, it's back. Charts. I'm not seeing anything. Anybody, are you guys hearing me, or am I talking to myself since?
Yes, we can hear you. I can hear you.
Okay, great. I want everybody to go into their browser and go to this website, nslookup.io. If you are there, there's going to be a domain name search, something like this. I want you guys to type in google.com. If you type in google.com, you're going to get something like this. This is going to give you the actual address for Google site. Now, what you're going to do for me, everybody, is to copy that IP and go open another panel, another tab in your browser, and put that IP address in there. Enter. It would actually open google.com. And you can see it changed to google.com immediately. What that means is that google.com is actually not google.com in the background. It is actually 142.250.189.206. That's funny. That is google.com. So whenever you're searching for a website, whatever you think you type in there, that's not what is being searched for on the internet. What is being searched for on the internet is going to be a set of numbers, which is stored somewhere in the DNS, and then use that to get the information, whatever information you need. I believe everybody try this out. Please try it out just to have a feel of what it is. And
yeah, I got a different web address or IP address.
Yeah, it could be different based on your location. That is very correct. It could be different based on your location, but try that out, copy that IP, put it on the browser, and search for it. It should bring google.com for you.
I think the reason why a different address is because maybe it's on Cloudflare. You should go to OpenDNS. If you go to OpenDNS, you see the 202.
Okay. Yes, that is correct. Thank you.
So it's like a postal code of every area.
Exactly. It's like a postal code. It is like a postal code. That's the exact word. It's like your address or your postal code. So the address or the postal code of every website is its IP address. It happens most time when trying to log in to our ISP most time. Okay, yeah, sometimes you see that show up. Yeah, interesting. Okay, yeah. So thank you. So that is as we were saying, this is 1:54. In the next 6 minutes, I will take a 15-minute break to grab my kids from the this thing, but I'll give you guys a task to do before I'm back so that you don't just sit idle. Thank you. Where are we? We are here. Okay. So yeah, if you've tried this out, you've been able to now see that every website on the internet, which is actually located in some computers remotely, the computers are connected by cables, and the websites are searched for using an IP address. This is important to know as a web developer. So we can all agree that in the world, on the internet, is actually a set of computers that are connected through cable. Now, the question will start it would come up in some people's mind. So are you saying that if Google information is in Canada and I'm requesting from Nigeria, knowing fully well that there's a huge body of water that divides Nigeria and Canada, how does this get connected? Of course, there is still cable. These are cables that are laid in the bottom of the ocean, and I'll show you. The internet, we can all agree right now that is all about computers that are wired together from different parts of the world, and that's what makes it a global village, like we all say. Now, there is what is called the undersea cables. Undersea cables are everywhere on the surface of the earth, below the water. They connect different countries, they connect different cities, and all that. And there's a live preview that you can use to see which cable actually gives internet to wherever country you are or wherever state you are. There are cables that connect you through water. If you guys if you just want to see, if you're interested in seeing this cable live, you can head on to, where is that? Undersea cables, underwater cables. If you Google underwater cables, you would see there's a website called, I want to remember the name of that website. Let me not delay us for that. I'll get that for you. But you can see a lot of information about the submarine cables that goes under the water. And through that, you can zoom in through the map. You will be able to see in your country which cable, all the cables have names, which cable actually supplies your country or wherever you are with internet. So that would give you that information that, okay, obviously we are all connected through cables. Submarine cables, thank you, Babajide. Our IT guru is here. He has given us submarinecablesmap.com. That's where all the submarine cables are. Thank you. And this is how they look. This is what they look like. Very giant cables in the bottom of the ocean, no matter how deep, that connects country to country, carrying this stream of information. So you can imagine you're trying to download something, and maybe an image or a video, and the video is hosted somewhere in United States of America, and you are in China or you are in Nigeria. This file flows through this cable from wherever it is to you within microseconds. Thank God for technology. So these are hundreds of massive cables consisting of fibers or optic fibers, each of them using lasers to transmit up to 400 gigabytes of data per second. 400 gigabytes of data per second. That's how you get those informations on your computer. So they are not just coming from the cloud, they are actually coming through cable. My people, we are going to take a quick break. So at the point when it returns the IP back to your website, we'll start from there with the website. So how does the website actually work? There are three things important on a website. And those three things are called the HTML, the CSS, and the JavaScript. Now, how these three things work together to give you a website is what we would be thinking about, we will be looking at right now. So I put this Netflix website up here just for you guys to see, to have an idea when I'm explaining these concepts, and you can relate it to every other website that you've seen before. So this is our client's chart again. HTML, JavaScript, and CSS. It's written on the document. So I'll go to the document. So it is HTML. Say this Zoom doesn't have pen. It should have pen. Yeah. Good. HTML, CSS, and JavaScript. So these three things are what make up a website. Any website at all that you've ever visited that runs on the browser. These are the three things that makes up that website. And these are the three things we would start learning with. So having known that, no one go again, voila. Okay, so now we'll go back to this drawing again, where we have the clients. And now that the client has received the IP address that comes from the domain name server that I talked about before when we were explaining the internet. So now your computer or your client now has an IP address. So what does it do with the IP address? It now sends a request with that IP address to the web server. Hey, I'm looking for this IP. Whatever you find that belongs to this IP, please give it to me. So the web server would look for it and find Google. Hi, okay, this looks like the Google address. Okay, I found Google for you, guy, take it back. So you send this back to your client and boom, your computer loads the Google page. So now look at this entire process from the point where you type in the website, the google.com, to the point it sends to the ISP sends to the DNS look up its record and find the IP, return it back to the ISP return back the IP to your client. Your client sends the IP now to the web server. The web server finds the Google website and return the content. Now, what does the web server return? That's our focus. The web server returns three things. It returns an HTML, it returns a CSS, and it returns a JavaScript. These three things makes up what you see on that page. Now, how do they actually make up what you see on that page? I'm taking pain to explain this concept because when we start coding, those things will start coming up to you like, how does it actually become a website? Okay, this is how they become a website. Because when you write your code, you deploy it into the cloud or wherever onto a server. That server is located somewhere. It's kept, so what is kept in that server is these three files: the HTML file, the CSS, and the JavaScript that you have created. Now, when somebody in another country, in Nigeria or anywhere in Australia, is retrieving those content. This is the same content that is served back to them through the wires. So these three files are what is being returned from the web server into your client. And those three things come together to form the website that you see, to form what you can see. Now, these three files, we talked about HTML, the CSS, and the JavaScript. Now, let's say you have these three things. How do they actually work together? What do they do? So let's start with the HTML. The HTML is what defines the structure of your website. It defines the structure of your website. So for example, when you write the text, the buttons, the images, the links, and all those things are part of the HTML that you are going to be writing. So you're going to be creating an HTML file. You're going to be writing the code into that HTML file that is going to define the text. You're going to define the buttons. You're going to define the images and every other thing that falls inside of HTML. And you would see when we start to write the real code. Now, the CSS, for just so you know, the HTML has a meaning. The HTML stands for the Hypertext Markup Language. The Hypertext Markup Language. This is the language that the browser understands. Every browser you see out there, whether the Chrome, the Edge, the Mozilla Firefox, the Safari, every browser you see out there, they can reach only in Hypertext Markup Language, HTML. And that's what defines the structure of the website. Now we look at the CSS. The CSS means the cascading style sheets. Cascading style sheets. So from the word style, it means it is used to style the website. So when you write the structure of the website first, just like when you're building a house, you do the foundation, you do the columns, you do the beams, you put in the block work, you put in the roof. That's the HTML. The house is looking haggard. It's looking very like, I don't know, it's not looking good, but it's standing. The structure is already there. That's HTML. Now, when you start rendering and you start painting and you start doing some aesthetics on that house to make it look beautiful.
Sorry, sir. Cascading style sheets. Cascading style sheets. Jem, did you get that?
It is cascading style sheet. Yes, that's correct. Oh, sheet, S-H-E-E-T. Yeah. Cascading style sheet. Thank you. So when you now start to make that website to look beautiful, to look the way you want it to look, the way you think the users would appreciate it, you're adding styles to the website. The process of doing that, you are writing the CSS code. So you would have written your HTML code, and then you will now write your CSS code to style that HTML, to style that website, to style that software. So it defines how the website will look, the style of the website. That means you're going to be talking about the colors, the shapes, the positioning, and all those things. That's what you do with CSS. So when those websites is being served from the server into your client, these files come back to your client and then work together to render a beautiful looking site. Now, the last part of it is the JavaScript. The JavaScript. This gives functionality to your website. Now, I'll be honest with you guys. When you start writing HTML, you start feeling like, I'm coding. Then you move on to CSS, you be like, oh my God, this is looking good and we are coding. Trust me, you are not writing code yet. You are actually playing around trying to start to write code. Well, it looks like code, but they're actually not code. They are actually called scripts. So the HTML and the CSS are called scripts. You're only writing scripts. The time you get to start to write code is when you start writing JavaScript. That is where the coding starts. And that's where the logics, the algorithms, the whatever you think you've heard before, the if-else statement, the looping statement, and all that. This is where you'll be doing that. So the JavaScript is also part of what... Did someone call my attention? Sorry? Okay. The JavaScript is also part of what you'll be getting back from the server whenever you make a request. So these three files come together. The JavaScript gives the functionality to the website. Now, what do you really need JavaScript for? We've talked about the HTML for structure. We've talked about the CSS for styling. Now, the JavaScript is, part of it is authentication. So when you go to a website and you're creating an account, Have you ever wondered what happened when you put in your email and then you click sign up, and then you come back and say, okay, you are signed up, and then it takes you into that place. So you've been able to open the door to the website. How that happens, or what makes that to happen, is the JavaScript. It authenticates you. So it grabs your data, it registers you behind the scene, and then tell you that you are registered to view the content. Interactions, moving things from here to there, doing a lot of things that like interacting with the website, most of it is done with JavaScript. Do things generally, sorry for the error. Do things generally, doing things that makes the website more interactive is all the work of JavaScript. So my people, you are going to be learning how to write HTML scripts, CSS scripts, and JavaScript to be able to build a website. Now, let's quickly look at the concepts, how these three come together to form a website. So here is your computer that you want to search for google.com. Again, when you go on your computer and you request for the google.com website, what comes back to you first? What comes first is the HTML. And when the HTML comes, the first thing that renders on the system is going to be a very horrible looking website of Google. No styling, nothing look good. If you were using internet like maybe 15, 20 years ago, I remember when my friend Jide bought one, his first good phone. When you search for google.com, it takes 1 hour to bring back the content. And when it comes back, you see G will go on right, O will go on the left. Like, that's because what gets rendered first is the HTML, and it's still trying to load the style, the CSS. At that time, internet is not as really fast as we have it today. Today, everything looks like it's coming at once, but it's not actually coming at once. The only thing is that the difference in time between when you receive the HTML, the CSS, and the JavaScript is very, very insignificant or minute. That's why you immediately see a very good looking website. But under the hood, HTML comes first. So when it comes, the website looks like this. And then you will see something like, this site is not looking good. It's not rendering well. The next thing is the CSS comes in. And when the CSS comes in, then you see a nice looking Google. So you have the search bar now well-centered, the Google is well-centered, the two buttons are looking okay. Now you feel like, okay, the website is not looking great. That's because a CSS file has been rendered into the website. Lastly, the JavaScript goes into it. Then you can search. So when you're typing something on the website and you're searching for something and it brings back a result, that is the work of the JavaScript. So the JavaScript grab whatever you put in, it does validation. There's something called validation, because if I want to hack Google, the very first thing I would do is to inject some bugs into the search bar. I can actually hack any website using their search bar. So what you just need to do is to do some injections, inject some things that will go into their database and scatter and blow up their database. Then I will have access to a lot of information. So because of that, there's always a validation. Now the process of validating whatever you put into the website before it now go and look for that information is done by JavaScript. You may not know. The only way you can know that there's validation is sometimes when you're trying to sign up for a site, and then you see like password, use special character, use one uppercase, use lowercase. That is validation. It's validating that this is actually a human being. It's not a bot, because a bot cannot read that information. Only a human being can read those instructions. And then when you do that, it checks if you actually done what it asks you to do. That is validation. What makes that happen, or what makes that possible, is JavaScript. So that's the last part of the three files that makes up a website. Once you've been able to learn how to do these three things, you will be able to build a very, very minimal website. Yes, I said minimal because there are so many other things that comes into building websites. There are third-party applications that you're going to be using. There are other plugins that you're going to be bringing in, and so on and so forth. But for learning purpose, these three files are the basic building blocks of a website. Now let's play around with Google. You all will go to your web browser again, like we did before. And you would go to google.com again. Let me know when you guys are ready. So you will go to google.com. We are going to do a small thing. We're going to play around with, what is this nonsense now? Google, give me the real Google. I need that Google because I want to show something interesting. If that is not coming, let's look at bbcnews.com. Please go to BBC News. I'm not seeing any sign that anybody is doing what I'm saying. I just assume that people are listening and they are doing it.
I am.
Okay, thank you. So if you go to BBC News, let's go to that BBC News website. Open that website up. Now, I want to show you these three things, these three content that we talked about. The CSS, the HTML, and probably the JavaScript. We may not actually see JavaScript, but we'll see HTML and CSS on this website. Now, if you can hover your mouse to wherever you have any text, like for me, I'm seeing news. You can actually do on any other one. You can do on this one, live photos, whatever you can see on that page, that is a text. You can go move your mouse there, right click on that text. If you right click on the text, I assume everybody is doing that. If you want me to slow down, please tell me. Okay, I see it. Charts. Chrome won't use pop-up, kill me. Okay, you have to disable your pop-ups. You can download pop-up disabler, then you can disable all pop-ups so that it doesn't come again. I don't know why on earth Microsoft went ahead to go and include this pop-up compulsorily on Windows. It's crazy, I know. It's crazy. It's Microsoft work. It's not really Chrome. They want to be running advert and be making money off everybody using Windows, unfortunately. Okay. So you right click on any of these words that you have. You can right click on BBC, might be a logo, so that would not be a good one. So like news or any other thing that you see around here, you can right click on it. If you do that, go to the last thing you see. I assume that's what everybody is going to see. Inspect. So click on inspect.
Inspect.
Yeah. If you click on that inspect, if it looks too small, you can actually move your mouse to the edge of the inspect. My computer is in dark mode. So your own might be white here. It doesn't matter. My own is just in dark because I have dark mode. You can, if you want your own to be dark as well, and you're on Mac, you can change it around here in the display. If you are on Windows, you can Google how you can make it, give it dark mode. But yeah, so your own might be white here. It doesn't make any difference. It's the same thing. You can drag it to make it bigger. If you put your mouse at the edge of this, I'm going to call this for you developer tools. This is called developer tools. If you put your mouse at the edge, you see an arrow, a double-faced arrow. Use it to drag, click and hold, and then drag. Then he expands that section for you. He expands the developer tools for you. Now, I assume everybody is here. If you are not here or you need help, please talk before I continue. Looks like nobody needs help.
Are you sharing your screen?
Am I not? I am.
Yes,
Okay.
you are.
Okay. Who is not seeing my screen?
Okay, I can see it. I can see it. So,
You can see, right? Okay.
yes, I can see it.
So do you want me to go back and do what I said again?
No, I've done it already. I've done it.
Ah, okay, great. So now, remember I said, go into any of those texts. When you go into any of those texts, I want you to right click on it. So like me, I'm clicking on this news and I inspect. There's a sound coming from somebody. I'm sure it's not me, or is it me?
But I don't know. Some
So now these things that you see here, this is the code that made you see all these things. And as you can see, when I move my mouse around the code, you see it highlights something here. Everybody can look at my screen. You will see news. When I move my mouse to here, he highlights that news, meaning that this is what is responsible for that news to be displayed. If I move it down a little bit, you will see the highlighting keep moving from place to place. So when I scroll through the entire page, I'm scrolling through the content of that page. Now, these things you see in open and closed brackets are the HTML parts of the code. Those are what
these things are tiny, very tiny on your
okay.
screen, but
Okay, so let's make it big. Thank you for letting me know that.
Oh, cool, much more better now.
Yeah, so let's make it big now. So now, if you can see this now, I assume.
Yes, I can.
Okay, so I was saying that you see that as soon as I move my mouse, the location or position of those highlighting keeps changing. What it means is, right now, whatever you see here, this is what is responsible for those things. Don't be scared with what you're reading here. You will learn how to write this too. You'll be able to write everything that looks like this, and that's going to define the website. So as I move around, now I want to do something. I want to look for a particular text and I want to update it. So let's see. If I look at this most read, sorry, I don't want to click it. I just want to look at it. So let's look at most read. What's wrong with my mouse? Why are you clicking? So right click, inspect. Good. You see most read? This is where the person that wrote this BBC website, this is where they wrote the code. And I'm going to change this. I'm going to change this most read. And I'm going to write Al-Hamin. Enter. I have changed BBC website. So anybody who wants to read this news will be reading Al-Hamin. They will not be reading most read. What I just did here is to tell you that. What?
Wait, is this not where's the authenticity in what we are doing? The JavaScript that will authenticate and allow people be able to do anything on that side, or it doesn't come into play yet?
Okay, so well, it's good to think that way. It's good to always think that there should be an authentication, there should be a validation to allow input. But what you need to understand here is that I am not interacting with the website. I'm actually interacting with the back end of the website. So when you have a key to a house, there's nothing that stops you from entering that house. You can either enter from the back door or from the front door. So I'm just entering from the back door, but then there's a caveat, and I'm going to tell you that caveat. What I'm doing here is I'm interacting with the code that got fetched from the web server. So when the code is fetched from server, before it renders on the browser, you can actually view those code here, just like what we're doing right now. So we're viewing the information or the content that comes from the server. And that's why I am able to interact with this, and I'm able to change this text as I like. But that only happens on my local system. It doesn't change it for you. I am only doing this on my own local browser. So it's okay. The moment I click on refresh on this website, whatever you think I have done here is gone. It's not going to be there again. Now, can somebody, I have a question for you guys. Can somebody think and tell me why did it return, even though I have changed it, but because I refreshed, it went back to what it was before? Can someone tell me why that happened?
Is it because the IP address didn't change?
Because the IP address didn't change. Well, not really.
It's still fetching from a source that you haven't changed.
That sounds like it.
Because you've not hosted it, sir.
Because I have not hosted it.
I think it's because you don't have the post.
This is your mic. I'm thinking that whatever it goes to fetch from that, is it DSW you called it, hasn't changed.
DNS.
It's still fetching the same information from there. We're just working on the client, like basically.
Thank you. That sounds very like it, very much like it. So what happened is each time you hit refresh, you're telling your client or your browser to go and fetch a new copy of those information. So it goes back to the server, makes that round again, and then brings the original information. When the original comes, your browser will look at the original and what it has. This has changed now. It will just throw away what it has before and render the new version or the new copy that it just fetched. That is the way it works. And that is why you may be viewing something on a website and there's a developer somewhere working on that website at that instance of time. When they deploy a new change to the website, you will be able to see that new change because your web browser is going to send requests. It's sometimes some websites are built in a way that they send requests at interval. They send new requests so that they can fetch new content. The same thing happened when I click refresh. I'm telling my browser, go back and give me a new copy of this website. So when it comes, it compares the old and the new. If there is no change, it throws the new and keep the old. If there is any change, even if it's just a dot, that is the change. It throws the old and render the new one. So that's why this thing changes. Thanks, guys. So question.
That's where the code comes in.
That's where
we create lead, update, and that's where it comes in.
Well, not really. The CRUD we talked about earlier is going to be when you start interacting with the websites. So for example, you go on Amazon website, you found something you want to buy, you add that thing to your cart. The process of adding that thing to your cart is the create. Then you feel like, maybe not this model. Let me look for another model. You update, you change that. I'm just using that as a literal thing. You change that item. That can be categorized as an update. So you update that content. There are a lot of things going underground, going under the hood as you're doing those things. It's easy for you to do. Add, remove. But a lot of code is running to make that happen, right? So that's where the CRUD comes in. Now you feel like, oh, I'm not even paying for this thing. Let me remove it. You remove it from your cart. You have deleted it. That's the delete. The one we're looking at right now is just how information is being pulled from the server or from the internet and then comes to your local device or your browser and render it to you. Let's keep it at that for now. We'll talk more on those CRUD when we get to that point. So what I've been able to show you here is that a website is built with 3 major contents or major files. The CSS files, the HTML, which is responsible for the structure. That means the text you see here and everything, the images, that's HTML. The styling, where the text should look, where the text should be, what color do you want the text to render, and everything that makes the website to be beautiful. And like I was showing in this website before, this is a very nice website, highly interactive. Everything that makes this nice looking thing, the gradient color that you see here, this button has it has an outline. The text on it is uppercase. The text here is lowercase. All these things that makes the site look beautiful is the work of a CSS, and that's what part of what you guys will be learning. And when you now start signing up for the site and everything, that is JavaScript. JavaScript helps you with some functionalities, gives life to the website. Let me just use that word, life. JavaScript gives life to your website. So having gone through all this, and we've been able to kind of do some little hacking to BBC websites, we've been able to see how text can change and it goes back. Then that would form the end of all our introductions and stories. This is where the story ends. We would not be talking stories going forward. Now, I have some tips for you guys. What are these tips? Try not to skip any session, please, any lesson, please, I beg. But for some reasons, for some weird reasons, circumstances.
Until May 2024.
For some, no, that's just to create the meeting, not because we have to take it to May 2024. No. So there are some circumstances where you have to miss the test. Of course, there are a lot of things that we cannot control. But if you miss, maybe once, twice in the whole thing, yeah, that's understandable. There will be videos for you to watch. If you have any questions, you can ask your questions on the Slack channel. We will be using the Slack channel for our interactions, for our communications, no more WhatsApp. So that we can, because the Slack gives us a lot of opportunity. On Slack, you can write code. And that's one of the advantage why dev teams uses Slack. So on Slack, we can all write code. When we get to that point, I'll start showing you guys how to write your code on Slack so that it can be well read. If you want to ask a question, or if you're having an issue and you want to ask somebody, you don't know what to do, you can't just write code plainly on Slack. It will look like a normal text. But for you to make it look like a code, I will show you this quickly. So let's say I want to write console.log. You see how it looks here? I say console.log equals to probably tangent. But if I change this to a code looking one, to make it look exactly the way a code looks, this is the way a code would look. So when you write multi-lines of code, Slack can help you format that to be readable. Otherwise, nobody can read that code.
Do it again.
Yeah. So what I did was, initially I wrote console.log, then I highlighted that text and go here. This is code. If you highlight on this icon, it says code. Now, if you're writing multi-line code, this is the one you are going to use, code block. If it's just a single line, use this other one that says code. If you're writing multi-lines, use the code block. So if I'm writing another line here and I want to say, you can actually click it first before you write the code. So if you click it first, it opens you an inner window, and then you can say console.log equals, and then you can say, you can go down. Normally you should go down, you do shift enter, it goes down, then you write another line. That's what I just want to show. So yeah, so communications going forward will be on Slack. And
Slack,
yeah.
Is it like an app that can be downloaded, or it has to be through that web link that you sent?
No. So you can see me, I'm using the app right now on my computer. This is Slack application. I'm not using the web application. There's a web format, but it's better to use this one so that you can get notified.
Tell us they can't download Slack.
I said, did I not say that?
I did not hear it.
Okay, sorry if I didn't say that. Now I am saying it. Everybody, whether you're on Windows or on Mac, download Slack on your computer, sign into it, and every time we are in this class, you must keep your Slack open, because there will be code snippets that I'll be posting in there. There will be some things, and we can do a one-on-one with anybody on Slack, like we are doing on Zoom. One-on-one means I can have a special meeting like I had with Biodo before. We can share screen. If you are having any problem and it's just you, I'll be able to look through your screen and tell you what is wrong without disturbing the others. That's why we need that. Yes, App Store. If you're on MacBook, you don't have to go to App Store actually. If you're on MacBook, go on your browser, click on download Slack. And yeah, you can get it from the browser. You don't have to go, but if you want to go through App Store, that's fine as well. Yeah. On Windows, go to the browser and get it. You can also go to your Windows Store to get it too, but that's always usually slow. So go get it through your browser if you're on Windows. So let everybody have Slack installed on their computer by the next class. We are going to be using it a lot, right? No more posting stuff on WhatsApp, except some ordinary information that has nothing to do with code. Yes, so please, let's get that. Except when I said it, or when it is required. When we start coding next class, don't code along with me. Because if you do that, you may miss a lot of things, or you will actually. So don't code along, but there will be some time that I will say, okay, what I'm about to do, I want you to try it as I am doing it. That's going to be a different case. Otherwise, just watch me code, listen, ask questions, and I will give you time, or I will give you all some time to code it yourself while we're in the class. So the method we're going to be using is going to be watch me when I'm coding, listen to me, and then when it's your turn, you would code it. Don't code along, please. That's actually a method used by some people. It works for some, but generally it's not the best way. Now, when I'm rushing or I said something that is not really, that you're not able to catch, please flag me down and I'll repeat myself. If I have to go back to explain, I will do that. That's why we're here. We'll focus on learning programming. So some people are not used to working on the computer every day, right? So in that way, you might not be fast when it comes to typing. And the truth is, when you are coding, you are actually typing. So you may be slow. Don't be disturbed because you're slow. Take your time. You don't have to be focused on learning how to type fast. What we are going to be focusing on in this class is to understand those code. You can type it 1, 1, 1, 1, 1. Just make sure you understand what you're typing and what you're coding. Take notes. It is very important. Take notes in the best language that you can understand. If you want to, if there's something I say that you think you want to write it down. If you want me to repeat it, I will repeat it. Just make sure you take as good as possible notes that you can review yourself, and review those notes. Please don't take notes in the class and then keep it until the next class, and then you'll be confused. No, review your class, whether way before you go to bed, anytime you have some free time, review the notes. If while you're reviewing something pops up like a question in your head, reach out to me on Slack, not on WhatsApp. Reach out to me on, please don't reach out to me on WhatsApp. Edjo, please, I beg, Biko. Reach out to me on Slack. Now, the best programmer in the world gets stuck. Okay? And that's a known fact. We've watched movies where you see hackers or whoever, or developers or programmers writing, typing, irony. There's nothing like that. That's just movie. So why I'm saying this is that you get stuck. I still get stuck. My boss gets stuck. The senior engineers in my office get stuck. So everybody gets stuck. So you as a learner, you would get stuck. Some of you might not get stuck at some point. Why some would get stuck? Know that everybody have different pace. So don't get discouraged. When you get stuck, calm down, review it, ask questions. If you get stuck, you will figure it out. Trust me. But don't be discouraged. You can keep getting stuck every time. It doesn't matter. What is important is you still have the determination to see this through. So when you get stuck, don't be discouraged. Now, get help. How do we get help as a software developer? The way we get help is that we don't always ask neighbors. We don't always ask colleagues. The first thing, one of the skills you want to develop as a developer is to know how to Google. Trust me, everybody Google. Now that there's ChatGPT itself, it makes life easy. But yeah, what I'm saying is that get help. Know how to look for information on Google. So you can actually be looking for an information on something you get stuck on and not getting the right response. It is because you have not mastered the way you can ask questions on Google when it comes to coding. So that's a skill everybody here will have to develop along the line to know how to ask the right questions. Now, most of the time when you Google some information about coding, one of the best answers you would see would come from Stack Overflow. Stack Overflow is a website. It is a website put together by a group of developers to help each other in solving algorithmic problems, problems that has to do with algorithms. Everybody, you can have an account here. I have an account here as well. Sometimes you would get stuck on things that you cannot find somebody to help you. If that time comes, you can go on Stack Overflow if you have an account, put up the question in the most detailed way possible. You must be detailed. Now, there's one thing with this community. Whenever you are asking for help, you must tell them what you have done. If you just put up a question, hey, I'm trying to do this, I'm expected to do this, that's all. Nobody will respond. In fact, when you get a response, they will actually insult you. That's what they do best, unfortunately. But when you are putting up those questions, you will tell them, I have tried this, I have tried that. Whatever you think you have tried that is not, and it's still not working, you must put it there. They are trying to encourage hard work. They are trying to help you build your skill. See where you are getting it wrong. So when you say, I've tried this, they will be able to read in between the lines and say, okay, this is the way this person is thinking. They will be able to help you change your way of thinking. But if you didn't say that you've tried anything, they see you as a lazy person who is not willing to learn. He's just looking for a ready-made food, fast food. Nobody will give you that on Stack Overflow. But if you're able to do it right, you will get the best answer. People will help you to solve your problem. They will give you the code that will make it work and everything. But that's what you have to do as far as Stack Overflow is concerned. Let's see the text. Shift Enter. Bawo. Who is doing Shift Enter? Can the mobile Slack code too? Yes, it can. Yeah. Slack, whether on mobile or on desktop, can do the same thing. Okay, so Stack Overflow, get there, ask questions. Now, if you try this too, and for some reason it's still not working, then ask your colleague. Maybe somebody has done it and it worked. Yeah, ask them. I will be your last resort. After you've tried all this, then you can come to me and ask me so that at least you can save me from those. Maybe I don't know too. I can easily Google it and get it to you because I will always go to Google as well. Trust me.
Eyes rolling. No.
Who is rolling eyes?
Acknowledge my eye roll. What do you mean by the last resort?
Because I'm trying to
if
make
I
sure that you guys
you
wait now. I want you guys to build that problem-solving skill. If you, because you know you have me at your fingertips, if you keep coming to me, it's not going to help. Go to Google, go to Stack Overflow, ask colleagues, because you're not just helping yourself, you are helping your colleagues too. Some of the colleagues will not know the same thing, and they will be like, it's true, let me go and look for this thing. Then everybody will start learning. Yes, sir.
I might just be consulting. It might just be consulting. I'm consulting you.
Well, I have said my own.
Please, 1 minute. I have someone at my door.
Okay. Get your door. Let's read the messages. Can you remember? Yeah. We have ourselves now. Oh, yeah, you have yourselves. Yeah. I want you guys to collaborate a lot. Collaborate, as in learn from one another. Learn from one another. It helps. It helps. It helps if you eventually find yourself on a software development team. It helps you to build that teamwork on software. It's a completely different way to work on software in a team. And when you work normally in a team in your offices, whatever you do before. But yeah, so I want you guys to build that skill, learn how to work with others, and then learn how to solve problems together. There will be, I would want to encourage a lot of peer programming, go into each other's system, code together. And when you are coding, talk through your code. So talk through your code so that the other person that is listening would go through the flow of your thoughts. That's very important. And like I said, ask me as your last resort. If you still cannot find solutions to this, I may be able to Google it better than you. I may be able to ask for the questions on Stack Overflow better than you. And I may actually know it. It depends. I'm just trying to let you know that nobody is a body of knowledge as far as software development is concerned. The most senior developers or most senior engineers, they still go to Google to look for information. So that being said, this comes to the end of our class today. And like I said, the next class, we're going to jump right into coding. We'll start with HTML, we'll progress to CSS, and we'll progress to JavaScript. Now, in this whole thing, there are lots of things that we are going to learn. I pray that we have enough time and we have enough people to see this through. I am not saying that people will run away, but circumstances arise when your situation will change. Now, if at any time your situation changes and you feel like you cannot continue with the class, it's totally okay. Reach out to me, let me know that you will not be able to continue with the class. I would just hope that it would not be because you're not getting things done. If it is the fact that you're not getting things done, please don't drop out. Reach out for help. I'm willing to sacrifice some private time with everybody to get things working without you running away. And don't get discouraged because somebody is getting it right and you are not. Everybody have different pace. So, but if out of all this, you feel like you have to drop for some things that are more important in your life, that's fine. Tell me. We would always wish you the best. So for this, we'll be looking at, we started today we've understood how websites work. We've understood how the internet works. We'll jump into coding with HTML, CSS, and JavaScript. We'll start installing Git and GitHub, version control system. We'll move from all these, we'll move to HTML5 proper. So HTML has evolved through the years. It started with HTML, HTML3, HTML4, and now the current one is HTML5. It's not because there's a major difference between those things. There has just been improvement on all of them. Thank you, Agbakoda. So we've just, there have just been improvements in all of them. So there has been improvements over the years on each of these. So for HTML, we'll be learning the latest HTML, which is HTML5. And then from there, we'll move to CSS3. CSS has also evolved through the years, and the most current one is CSS3. And that's what we're going to be learning, everything about CSS for you to be able to start your website. Now, there's something called Bootstrap. Bootstrap helps us to build a website faster. And I'm going to teach that in this class as well. So normally, when you write your HTML code, you write CSS to style it up, you write JavaScript. But with Bootstrap, it reduces the time you spend on writing CSS files, because naturally, you would not be writing CSS files. Rather, you would be calling Bootstrap classes. We call them classes, and you get to know what classes means later. We will be using some pre-built Bootstrap classes to style our website. It makes it faster. Sometimes it looks better than what you might want, what you would have done yourself if you were to write CSS. But there are limitations to that. There are some customized styles that we want to use that Bootstrap will not be able to do. But who says we cannot use Bootstrap at all? A lot of the websites you see today are built with Bootstrap. So like the word bootstrap, when you bootstrap something, meaning you don't have to reinvent the wheel. You have something to use to do whatever you want to do. So we have that in coding. So we will learn Bootstrap. Then we'll go to JavaScript. Now, JavaScript ES6 is what we're going to be learning. I'm trying to make sure that we all learn the latest of all these things. So you will be the most modern developer at the time of this learning. It doesn't mean by tomorrow, something else will not come. But when it comes, you already have the foundation. You can build on your foundation. So we'll be learning JavaScript ES6. ES6 is ECMAScript 6. ECMAScript 6. JavaScript is actually a language that is put together by a group of software developers. Why? They got angry with the existing software programming languages. They felt like the browser cannot read a lot of languages. We need to give the browser something that they can read. So they came up with JavaScript. Now, over the years, JavaScript has evolved until they now got to ECMAScript 6. We will still learn we will have to go back and learn the old JavaScript because there's a reason why we must do that. Then we now move to ECMAScript 6, the ES6. Then you see the differences, what has changed. Because if you happen to be on a team where you're going to be working on a project and the project is being written with an old JavaScript, you may not understand some things there. So if you have an idea of it, you'll be able to go. So yeah, we'll do JavaScript ES6. We'll talk about document objects model, the DOM. The DOM is actually how we interact with JavaScript on the browser, how we manipulate things, how we make things work the way we want them to do. We will actually be relating with the document object model of the browser. We will look at jQuery. jQuery is a very old framework that was created by some group of developers as well. They want to find a very easy way to grab things on the browser. So you want to relate to the button. When you click a button, what should happen when I click this button? That was done with jQuery. jQuery is quietly going into extinction, but there's a lot of projects that are built with jQuery. So if most of you or some of you find yourself working on a project tomorrow, because I said this curriculum is job-ready curriculum. I don't want to show whereby you get your first development job and they will now throw you a project, an existing project that you need to continue to support. Then you see jQuery, you'll be like, Latas did not teach us this one. How do I work with this? No, you should know how to work with it. So that's why we'll go back and learn jQuery. jQuery is interesting. It looks rough, but very interesting because you like it when you start dealing with it. Now, this is important for every developer in this class, the Unix command line. Normally, most people here, if you go on your computer, the way you open file, the way you create file, you'll be clicking, you're using what is called the GUI. The GUI means the graphical user interface. So you're looking at file, you want to open the file, you click it, you want to create a file, you right click, you create a folder. That is let me not use a derogatory word. That's actually the barest minimum anybody can use to interact with a computer. And that is what even a cleaner, a security guard should be doing. The moment you guys agree to come into this class, you will stop doing that. You will stop doing that. Yes. Yes, Jen.
First of all, I have complaint.
Complaint.
Number one, you should have could just stop at that's the basic everyday. Must you say cleaner is derogatory? Thank you.
Sorry.
Number two. I was of the belief. What time is it?
That we are stopping at 3, Abby.
That we were rounding off at that time. And so when I ran downstairs, I don't expect that when I come, you'd have reached page 10 of the page. You know,
just
page
going through.
What happened from page 1 to page 6 now? I don't know.
I'm just rushing through the curriculum.
Oh, yeah, rush. Carry on.
Give us an idea of what we are expecting to learn. Okay. So the class has ended officially, but because there was a time that I was away. So let me quickly rush through this curriculum. Thank you. And for the derogatory word, I'm sorry. I'm just trying to let you guys know that henceforth, you will stop opening file like an amateur. You will now start opening files, creating files like a coder because you're learning to code. So going forward, we will learn the Unix command line. Unix command line is the actual way that your computers open those files. So when you copy and paste, when you move things from here to there, what is going on in the background is that some codes are being run. Now, you don't want to stress your computer again. You want to give that code to the computer. So for example, you will be using your terminal if you are on Mac, and if you are on Windows, we are going to download the latest Windows versions comes with what's the name of that thing? Windows something, I forgot. We'll get it. The other OS would have been Linux, which is the best computer ever. Linux is the best, especially when it comes to programming. But then we will not go into using Linux in this class. But if at some point we get to that point where we need to use Linux, you don't have to buy a laptop. I will show you guys how to install a virtual machine. Through that virtual machine, you will be able to use 2 OS on your computer. You'll be able to use Linux and whatever you have before. So at some point, if we need to use Linux, we'll go there. So you'll be interacting with your computer through your terminal. You'll be opening files, you'll be creating files, you'll be doing a lot of things here because it makes your work cleaner, neater, and more professional as a developer. So we will learn this under the Unix command line. And then we will learn GitHub and version control. You wonder, how do developers collaborate on a project? So we have a project to build an Amazon website, and we have 300 developers that is going to build that site. How do we bring our code together? How do we put things together to form a single website? It's easy through Git and GitHub, and it is called version control. So I would write some code in a file. Abiodun will write his own code in a file. Jem will write our own code in a file. We'll all push our code to GitHub, which is the version control. GitHub will take the 3 and look at it. Okay, who committed first? This one committed first. Put it on top. Put the one below. Put the one below. GitHub is going to help us to collate this code that we've written all together to still form a single website. That's a whole lot on its own, but we'll learn it and we'll be able to do it because we must learn it. That's the only way you work as a developer in a team. And another thing it does for us is that if you mistakenly delete some of your code and you still need that code again, even though it has been deleted, GitHub gives you a copy of it, or you would have a copy in the remote and all that. So there's a lot to that. Let me not say too much so that you don't get bored. Simio, I didn't actually update this one. So this one is supposed to be backend development. I know why I forgot to edit it. So it's supposed to be backend development, not GitHub and version control. We'll start learning backend. So what it means is that from page 1 to the GitHub, I've been talking about front-end development. After this, we'll move into backend. We'll explore the components of backend development, MVC framework, that's the MVC means I forgot. View and control. Yeah. We apply concept of data types, so we have to learn data types. In the last class that we started before with my guys, we started here because I intended starting on back end for them. But I realized that that's actually not the best way. That's why for this class, we're starting from the front end, then we go to the back end gradually. So when we get there, we learn back end, we learn how to create a server, how to run a server, how to launch your website and all those things. We'll learn Express.js as part of backend. We're going to learn EJS. They are actually frameworks. We'll learn databases, SQL. There are different types of databases, depend on what you're doing. And you can see what I mentioned before, the CRUD, CRUD. Although the word destroy is being used here, it's something as delete. So create, read, update, and destroy or delete. That's CRUD. We do that on database as well. So we learn how to work on those ones, how to configure a database, how to provision the database and configure it. We'll learn that. Now, somebody will be asking, what is actually database? Yes, you must have been hearing database. Database are actually computers too. Yeah, they're actually computers. They can be referred to as computer servers, but what they do basically, they are not the regular computer that we have in our house. They are special computers designed to store information. So whenever you sign up on a website or you add a product to a cart, it's stored somewhere. It's not just there. It's actually stored somewhere in the backend. Where it's being stored is the database. So whenever you come back and log in to fetch your information, it comes back from the database. Wherever it's being hosted, wherever it's being kept, it is a reservoir or database that the documents are being pulled or the contents are being pulled from. So we'll learn how to provision one or how to commission one, how to configure them and how to use them, how to query them as well. Then we'll learn NoSQL databases. We have other databases that are NoSQL. Like I said, depending on what you're working on, it determines as part of architecture, you determine what database suits whatever you're working on. So one of the other database types is NoSQL. We have MongoDB and Mongoose. We'll be learning MongoDB. There are other types, but MongoDB is very good to use. It's widely acceptable. We'll learn that. Then we'll learn how to deploy your website. So after you must have done all these lots of work, how do you send it to your brother in another country to view what you have been doing? You cannot send through your local server because all you have been doing before, we would have been building these things on our local server. So only you can see what you did. Now, when you want to take it further, by sending it to somebody, your sister, your boyfriend, your girlfriend, your wife, who is away from you, to see what you've been working on for the past couple of weeks, you will deploy that website. Now, there are other ways that we can do it for people to see it. We call it containerization. So you containerize your website, you add them into a Docker container and send them a link to that Docker container. They will be able to open it and see what you've been working on. That is going to be interesting. We build RESTful apps. I'm not going to say too much about this. This is actually called APIs, but you will get to understand this much later. APIs is when some of you tomorrow feel like, okay, I want to, for example, ChatGPT, for example, that everybody now uses a lot. You can build an app and bring in ChatGPT into your app. So how do you bring it in? It's through an API. So every app out there, or most apps out there, when they build, they always have an API. API is like a link somewhere, a backdoor to their information. So ChatGPT also has this, as well as every other app out there. You can use that API, link into your own app to be able to do things. So from your app, you can connect to ChatGPT without opening ChatGPT website or app. That's why you see, if you go on Play Store, on App Store, you will see a lot of ChatGPT app. They are actually built by other people. ChatGPT itself does not have a mobile app. But because they leave this API for people to use, a lot of people have pulled in that API, built their own app on it, and then call it ChatGPT as well. So we will learn how to build an API. We will learn authentication and security. The only reason why we still have internet and website today is because it has been secured. Although a lot of you would disagree with me that if it is secure, why do we have hackers? Of course, it's only when you can build the key that you can also build, where you can build the lock, that you'll be able to build the key. So the hackers understand how to build a security around system. That's why they also know how to break down that security. But even the best website in the world is still not secured. The only thing is that it takes time to hack them. So websites like Amazon, like those big ones that you see out there, it's not because it's not like people cannot hack them. People can still hack them, but it takes time. While you are trying to hack, they build another layer on the security for you. Then it gives you another step to follow. So that's why they still remain secure today. We'll learn encryption. How do you encryption? Sorry, English. We'll learn encryption. How do you encrypt your information so that, okay, let me say this. Encryption. WhatsApp is encrypted. Sometimes you will see it is end-to-end encrypted. What it means is that when I send you a message on WhatsApp, that message is being encrypted as it flows through the pipe. It means it is meant for you and you alone. So there's an information that is tagged on that message that makes sure that it gets to you only and nobody can intercept it. Because there's a lot of ways you can intercept data. I can drive my car close to your house. Anybody here? I can drive my car close to your house with my laptop. I can hack into your Wi-Fi. If there's a Wi-Fi in your house, I can hack into your Wi-Fi, and probably you are trying to buy something on Amazon. I can divert whatever you're doing. I can intercept that data, download the data, your credit card information, whatever you think you're buying, your login details. I can download it. I can spoof through them and use your credit card to buy something. Now, this would not be possible when you encrypt those information. If it's encrypted, even though somebody can intercept and download those information, they would not be able to break it down because there's a part of that information that is missing. And without that part, they would not be able to put them together. So we'll learn how to authenticate your website, how to add security to your website so that it is, at least to an extent, it has resistance from hackers. Then the almighty React. If we are able to get to this point where we'll be learning React, that is when you guys are fully ready to take on that first job. React is a framework or a JavaScript library that was built to remove a lot of corner in web development. Normally, you will be writing HTML, you will be writing CSS, you will be writing JavaScript. But with React, after you must have understood how to write HTML, CSS, and JavaScript, because somebody will ask me, why can't we just jump to React? No, we will not jump to React. We will learn CSS, HTML, and JavaScript first. But when we get to React, we'll be writing JSX. We'll stop writing HTML, CSS, and JavaScript. We will be writing JSX. JSX has combined those three together. So with a single line, you're writing the three languages at once. Very interesting. It used something called state management. We'll get there. Then we'll go to advanced JavaScript. You see, we have a whole lot here. And by the time we are done, I will issue certification to everybody in this class. That certification is what guarantees you, what validates your knowledge of web development. And you can start up immediately, whether as a freelancer, whether you want to look for a job, or you just want to code, or you want to just teach people like me. And that's the end of today's class. Officially, we have 38 minutes extra. I'm sorry we took this long. I hope you guys enjoyed this class. It's a lot of talking. I don't like talking too much. I like to code, but then we have to do this to understand the fundamentals. Any question or any discussion, something, otherwise we'll end the call. Thank you. Always tell us to eat before. Even me, I have not eaten.
Nice.
Now,
so each time we get to each part, we would do the installations, right? No need to do that ahead of time.
Yeah, there will be a lot of installations we'll be doing when we get there. Yeah.
So I have a question.
Okay, that thing you said about my laptop.
What did I say?
Once I click install like this, you realize if I even click and finish, you don't have
go run. Of course, you bought a machine. You went to go and buy. We asked you to bring a blade. You go bring axe. You brought axe.
Sorry.
Abiodun, you are muted and yeah. Me, I can't hear you. Can you all hear Abiodun? Can't.
Man, this is Mike that you always.
Can you hear me now?
Yes, sir.
It's loud though.
Now you say because the part I wanted to ask. First of all, I'm not jealous. My laptop too. The moment you download, it goes. Woo. So
Really?
it's yeah, seriously. Everything installed very fast.
Is it your work laptop? Is it your work laptop?
No. This is not my work laptop.
This
Personal?
he's talking about
It's
is because
personal.
he doesn't understand what we are talking about.
It doesn't matter. Number 2 is this: the graduation. Are we going to wear gown?
Yes, we wear gown. Everybody will go and buy whatever they like to buy from their place and bring it. We'll eat, we'll drink, we'll raise our certificate up, and then we'll end the class. Okay.
Yeah. Somebody wants to ask question.
Thank you.
Yes. Who is asking question?
Okay, I think I want to
Yeah.
The
Go ahead.
question,
So, thank you for the class. Was an
You don't have to
insightful one.
thank me. You don't have to thank me, actually.
I know definitely that the no be like this is sweet. But
no, I'm not saying anything to you.
this
Who
first
is-
class doing, you know. I
Sorry.
said no be like.
Sorry, I didn't hear that. I'm sorry. Okay.
Yeah, I said this class is actually very interesting, but I know for a fact, no be like this is the sweet. This is hard work and it's smart work as well. So I believe we put in our best. However,
Yeah.
I have a particular question that I want to ask.
Go on.
It's about because with this you mentioned a whole lot of stuff about the website and responsive website. So it brought me to a particular conclusion of asking for SEO, which is the search engine optimization. By any chance, is there any time we have to discuss that, like those keywords and all of that? Because as a web developer too, someone needs to understand all of this.
SEOs.
Because if you have, even if they're not building new website and you just want to do like a project on their website, you need to understand you need to understand how to make SEO. That is another aspect entirely that some people just go into an area of specialization. And it pops in a whole lot of like the way and web development does. So I just wanted to ask, is there any, because there's a whole lot you've actually mentioned that is kind of related to SEO as well.
Okay. Thank you for asking that question. So for those who does not understand what SEO means, if you have ever wondered why is it that when you go and search for a particular information or a website on the internet, there is always going to be a set of particular one that comes up. Let's say you are searching for, you want to buy a blue jean and you search for blue jean. Some particular sellers who sells the same product will always come on top. Why do they come on top? That's the work of an SEO. It's part of the work an SEO does. So how does that happen? How do their own website get featured on top of the list among millions of websites that Google would have brought to you?
They pay for that thing now. They pay for it.
Optimization, SEO.
Yeah, so search engine optimization. So so there's a part of it that has to do with payments, but that's not actually payment is not actually what makes it to show up. So when we build a website, if it's going to be a product-based website or a marketplace and all that, any website that you have to go and buy something, or that the services, for some reason, the services, they need people to come in all the time, or they want to kind of put it in everybody's face all the time, you include SEO into the build of the website. For this course, we are not going to be learning how to incorporate SEO. That's
so I have to use it for my YouTube.
Well, so what I want to say is that
Just kidding.
first, you guys will need to learn how to build a website. There's a lot of things that come together before we even start looking at SEO, where it comes in itself. Otherwise, if we incorporate SEOs into this, it will cause a lot of confusion. Trust me. But I can teach that. If we are able to get to at least 80% of this course, and I can see for myself that 90% of the 99% of people in this class are able to do the website from the scratch with few helps. I can actually come into SEO and just do that. It wouldn't take us more than 4 classes to take care of SEOs, optimizations. But as far as this curriculum is concerned, we will not touch SEOs as part of it. I know we might have some digital marketers in this class who want us to talk about that. Yeah, trust me, this is a bootcamp that will be continuous. I can actually have a different session for SEOs incorporation into a website. I would like to teach that. I was fortunate to be part of a project that was a marketplace. So that's where I worked a lot on incorporating SEOs, and it was interesting. But trust me, it's going to be a lot of it's going to mess up things for us if we go into that right now. So let's keep that aside, but it's going to be part of our plan. If possible, we have that time and we see that people are already getting solidified in what we're learning, we'll learn SEOs. Yes, questions? Did I answer your question, sir? Sorry, we will not be doing that now.
Yes. You did that.
Okay. I think there was a question I wanted to answer. No, I think I got, yeah. So if there is no other questions, we can end this class now. If anybody wants to hang around and gist, we can gist, but the class has ended. So thank you guys.
Sir, the class material, how do we get it, sir?
Yeah, so I already said it. I am going to, like this video today, it has a lot of things that we don't need. So when we're done, I would edit it, take out some sections that we don't really need so that we don't bug our Google Cloud with unnecessary information. So it reduces in size. Then I will upload the video into the video sections of the Google Cloud that I sent to you guys. And the slide is already there. This slide, I already put it there in PDF format. I would update it because I think I made some changes, few changes. I will update it and then keep it there. But yeah, you can always get them on the Google files if you need them at any time. Yes? Any other questions? Looks like we're done.
No question, just appreciation.